I usually have a decent showing, but I'm telling you, I think everybody was so anxious to do Thanksgiving again because in my cul-de-sac, 8 houses, my house and one other house were the only people who put out garbage today, which to me tells me there's 6 houses empty. Except that people were anxious to get back to the family.
And you knew that this is half what, well, Beverly says she'll be watching.
David's gonna, okay, David's gonna be on.
David's on.
But you can be here too.
You only need one. You only need one.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom. This was the best I could do to get the door open. It won't stay.
You want me to push it up more?
Oh, it
Oh,
won't.
it won't stay.
It's just keeps, this part of it just keeps shifting, and I spend a fortune getting doors so heavy in the wheels, getting it adjusted and moving it over and over. It's crazy.
Yeah, sorry, I was like rushing. I was like talking to Jim out there. It's like I need to get it.
Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and start. I want to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, and hello to all the people who may be streaming at home. Want you all to feel included, and the ARC doors have been left open so that you can feel like you're more included. And yes, I know that the one door is partially closed. It just has a mind of its own. So we're going to just let it go for today because I didn't have something to wedge it there. So, but anyway, why don't we just start off with a little bit of Hine Ma Tov just to kind of get in the mood, and since there may still be a few people who are coming and running a little bit late. Anyway, Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. If we'll turn to page 120, and everybody, if you've got there are 2 sizes of books, a thin book and a bigger book. If you've got the bigger book that has two sets of numbers, you're going to be looking for the number in brackets. So, I don't have, hopefully I'll be loud enough. On 120, we're going to light the Shabbos candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Turn to page 126. Together, I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring vision to life. On page 128, please join me in Ma Yafeh Hayom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Turn to page 131. In God's hands are the depths of the earth. The peaks of the mountains are God's. God's is the sea, God made it, and the land which God's hands fashioned. Come, let us bow down and kneel, bend the knee before Adonai, our Maker, for Adonai is our God. And we are the people God tends, the flock in God's care. Oh, if you would but heed God's charge this day. Please turn to page 142 for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Turn to page 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash me Rabbah, v'yalma divrach chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayedechol be'Yisrael, bagala, bagala, uv'izman kariv, v'meru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal, shmei dekudisha b'richu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damihiran bi'alma v'meru amen. Please rise for the Baruch Hu on page 146. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed. We continue on the middle of page 149 together. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hamarav aravim. On page 150, please join me in Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha ahavta, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu, uvkumenu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla, v'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod ito leolam vaed. You may be seated. Please join in the V'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha vidibarta ba'am b'shiftecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Top of 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe that we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Mi chamocha on page 158. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osefele, nora tehilot, osefele, malchutecha, Ra'uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam ze'eli anu v'amru Adonai yimloch Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Together on the top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 163 at the top. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Please rise for tefillah on page 164 and stay standing. We'll continue through page 176. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol atah Rav Lehoshia. Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim. Somech noflim v'rofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umakayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umidom elach, Melech memid u'mechayeh u'matzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'hayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yechalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. You may be seated. We continue on page 173. Together, may these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ever-present one, page 175, middle of the page. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha Vayira na'avod. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ulecha Na'eh Lehodot. Please join in Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit uv'chol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. We pray silently, either the prayers on the next couple of pages or whatever comes to your heart. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, v'goali, v'goali. We now transition to the Torah part of our service. So please turn to page 364 and rise. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim, susha'arim rashechem, uhusu pichei olam, v'yavo melech hagavot. Mi'uze melech hakavod, Adonai tzvaot, u'melech hakavod, Selah. In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu Adonai iti, Unromema Shemo Yachdav. And I think that perhaps, I know there was a bar mitzvah and they marched the Torah, but they marched it really fast so that people didn't throng to the aisles to converge on the Torah. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to do the same because it was very meaningful to watch the Torah being marched, even when we didn't all get to touch it. So I hope you'll bear with me that I think that these are the baby steps, and hopefully, God willing, at some point we'll be able to march again, and everybody throng to the aisles to be able to tap the Torah, as in days gone by. But we do remember that we only started marching the Torah right before we came to this temple, because in the old building, it wasn't the custom to march the Torah. We only started to march the Torah as we prepared for marching all of the Torahs to our new building. And it was quite an adjustment for all of us. And so I'm kind of going to celebrate that. So, Lecha Adonai Hagidula V'Hagibura Be seated. Thank you. Yeah, just grab the one page. All right, we're reading Genesis 37, 1 through 5 today. And if you don't mind, I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Please join me in the Torah blessings. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach, Baruch Adonai hamavorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch ata Adonai Noten HaTorah. Yeah. Thank you. It helps if it's the right way. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz megurei aviv be'eretz Canaan ele toledot Yaakov Yosef ben Shiva Esrei Shana Hayaro Ro'eh et achiv batzon v'hu nar et b'nei bilha ve'et b'nei zilpa neshei aviv v'yaveh Yosef et debartam ra'ah El avihem, Vayisrael, ahav et Yosef, mechol banav, ki ben zichonim, hu laho, ve'asa lo ketonet pasim. Vayiru Echav ki oto ahav avihem mikol Echav v'yisneu oto v'lo yachelu dobero l'shalom v'yachal Lam Yosef Chalom Vayeged Lecha Vayasifu Od Seno Oto. Thank you. I'm going to keep it out for just a bit. The after the Torah reading blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Really, this was a big change in our prayer book with this version of the prayer book, where instead of doing the Mishaberach somewhere else, it was actually put in the middle of the Torah service while the Torah is out, which I believe was meant to give it special significance, and that perhaps our prayers would be better heard. For the names for prayers for healing for this evening: Len Anthony, Robert Bogan, Fred Boyd, Gordon Brody, Marion Sean, Karen Delavan, Kevin Delavan, Brittany Elaine Drake, Charlotte Fiwas, Harry Phillip, Mike Fox, Clark Freeby, Sherry Goldstein, Corey Hartman, Michelle Hartman, Stacy Lewis, Christopher Long, Gary Mann, Terry Mann, Sophia O'Brien, Jody Platt, Katrina Joy Rogers, Bob Schmitz, Lee Schultz, Renee Stanton, Neil Tannenhouse, Sarah Tova, William Westerman, Ann Westerman, Judith Zimmerman, Leonard Furstenfeld, Dan Gestring, Daryl Abrams, Corinne Jacobson, Deborah Lovell, Judy Kotler Goldberg. Are there any other names? Oops. Please join in Mishabera. Mishabera avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. If you will please rise while we dress the Torah. V'zot Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai. You may be seated. Okay, it's also kind of don't mean to be talking about me, but it seems to happen sometimes. So I'm also recollecting that it's almost 30 years from the first time that Rabbi Mecklenburger asked me to lead a service for the first time over at the old temple. And it was not far after when I did an adult B'nai Mitzvah with a group of people, and started teaching Sunday school. And I was absolutely agog that I was being asked to lead a service when the rabbi would be out of town. And it's still just as exciting to do it, fraught with tension and self-doubt and wondering how will you do on any given evening. But oh, such a challenge and an honor to be able to lead the service. And I remember as I ran across the parking lot to come into the building, our organist at the time was Bob Chisholm, and he was pacing the steps on the Galveston side, back and forth and back and forth. Linda, there's nobody here to lead the service. And I said, but Bob, I'm leading the service tonight. He said, oh, are you going to do a sermonette? And that was one of my fondest memories, actually, was number one, the shock to him that I was actually going to lead a service, but being challenged, was I going to do a sermonette? So my sermonette in honor of Bob will actually, my Devar Torah will be very short and kind of just off the cuff. I've got a thought. What I didn't do before was read you what those 5 lines were, okay? And it is the story, this is Genesis 37, 1 through 5. Yaakov lived in the land of his father's sojourn in the land of Canaan. This is the history of the generations of Yaakov. Joseph, being 17 years old, was tending the flock with his brothers. He, a youth, was with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives. Joseph brought an evil report of them to their father. Now Yisrael, also another name for Jacob, for Yaakov, loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son in his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors. His brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, and they hated him and couldn't speak peaceably to him. Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him all the more. Well, what significance could that possibly have to us right now? You think, all the things that go on in families, right? Was the jealousy? It says that Jacob loved him more, but did he was it that he loved him more, or did he just connect with him more? You never really know, but these are the same kinds of things within families today. Who's getting more attention, who's getting more of something else, and it's no different whether it's within a family or in the friends that you have. Each relationship is different. The connections are on different levels, and it doesn't necessarily mean that one is bigger or better, or for there to be jealousy. Does it mean that doesn't ever happen, that somebody in the group isn't getting their fair shake? Well, that happens too. So sometimes you just have to think about it when talking about Thanksgiving and everybody being able to be together. A lot of families for the first time in a long time, all in one place, feeling freer to travel. There's the people who are family, who are the automatic connection, and you love them and you never fight with them. There's the ones you love and you do fight with because you don't see eye to eye on any number of things, whether it's politics or how you raise your children or what. It could be absolutely anything. It could be whether or not you want sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie. It could be anything. But I'm reminded that this is a great time of year to just show kindness, and to think about that not just only for your families, but I was listening to NPR and they were they had put a term to it. I've heard of Thanksgivica, and of course we're in the middle of something that's really close to Thanksgivica, but they were calling something Friendsgiving, especially over the past few years where things have been more localized with less travel, where your family is a family of chosen, maybe a family of chosen people, not the ones by blood. and that, there's something special and sacred in those relationships as well. The only difference is those are the people you choose, and you can't always choose who your family members are, even if you'd really like to. But anyway, I just want everybody to look to the left, look to the right, say hi to the people you're sitting with, because there's a reason you're sitting with them, and look behind you to somebody who maybe isn't part of your intimate group, just to say, hey, we're all here. We made a minion tonight on a day when 6 out of 8 houses in my cul-de-sac didn't put garbage out the day after Thanksgiving, which means nobody was home. They all left town. So we're all here, and I thank you all for that, and I hope this doesn't diminish the significance of having a Devar Torah. Sometimes it just is all about community and the friends we collect, and the friends that are our family, and it's all about being kind and loving that they're all there, and that we could all be here together tonight. So I say to that, Shabbat Shalom. Anyway, we are now going to turn to page 374, and we are going to put the Torah back in the ark. So, Hodo al eretz v'shamayim v'yarem keren le'amo tehila v'chol chasidav lifnei Yisrael am perovo. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. For I have given you good instruction, do not abandon my Torah. Etz chayim hi lemahazikim ba v'tomecheha me'ushar deracheha darchei nam v'chol netivoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Okay, don't sit. We turn to page 586 for the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol l'tet kedula liotzer breshi shelo asanu kugoye haratzo v'lo samanu kimishpachot adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. We continue on page 591. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad. You may be seated. Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God in each hour of the 24, and each moment then. In the faces of men and women, I see God, and in my own face in the glass, I find letters from God dropped in the street, and every one is signed by God's name. And I leave them where they are, for I know that wheresoever I go, others will punctually come forever and ever. Would turn to page 598. This is the part of our service, the mourner's Kaddish. We have nobody in Shloshim, so I will be reading the names of those whose yahrzeits we'll be observing tonight. Stanley Edward Aiken, Delcy Gans Altman, Dave Altschuler, Ethel Appleman, Michael Archenhold, Louis Barnett, Arthur G. Bassist, Harris Belford, Donald Blank, Patty Blank, Solomon Brockman, Ignace Charles Capper, Meredith R. Carb Jr., Sophia Klein Ellman, Martine Ginsburg, Louis Goldman, Frida Hellborn, I.E. Horowitz, Ralph Jacobson, Molly Kessel, Albert Minker, Michael J. Moore, W.H. Meyer, Henry Pottishman, Shaul Pozis, Susan M. Rosenthal, Hans Joachim Thoma. Are there any other names to be added? Please join me, please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, v'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ulalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudisha brichu, le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'il kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'il kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing. We'll conclude with our final song, Oseh Shalom, the last verse of the Kaddish. And then, of course, we'll do a Kiddush and a Motzi following. Oseh Shalom b'mroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom b'mrama, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. with the Kiddush? Huh?
I'll go up there with you.
Huh?
So I'll join you.
Okay. So I can be on the mic.
Yes, you can.
Okay, all right. And, huh?
Do we have a hall?
We do that next.
Okay.
Kiddush goes first. Yeah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'yahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. And thank you for being such a good sport, because I'm not sure when they poured that wine, but it's been protected.
It's wonderful.
It was wonderful.
Manna Shabbat.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
It would have been my favorite. Maybe not yours, but. And then, of course, we have our ceremonial only challah to do a motzi, because there are little challah knots and pumpkin craisin challah knots out there, individually wrapped, because that part of our back in the temple, policy has not yet changed. But we're all looking forward to that day too. It may never go back to grab and go, grabbing a hank, but, maybe we'll get to where we can slice it and have pieces. So anyway, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom and betei avon. You're welcome. Yeah? Thank you. Hey, another one down. But I never will forget that day. I was so scared, and the